Good afternoon. We're going to get started. Let's get right into it and start with January. You got to go all the way back to January 2025, the beginning of the year. And this is how we started off with a Happy New Year grant. LaGuardia was awarded $200,000 from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation to support our community health worker program in ACE. This is an amazing program led by Hannah Weinstock. And students in this program, many of them immigrants and most of them from Queens, work on their English language skills, receive training to become community health workers, do internships, it's a long program, and then find jobs as community health workers across the borough. So congratulations to Hannah and her team for that program running strong today. 2 days later, January 13th, look at, isn't that cool? The animation here is very sophisticated. 2 days later, Jay Golan, who runs the LaGuardia Foundation, announced that the foundation award would award over $500,000 in scholarships in this, the 24-25 academic year. Students at LaGuardia would receive scholarships and have received scholarships ranging from $1,000 to $2,000 each. And this particular set of scholarships was made possible by generous donors including Rise Light and Power, the Amazing Mets Foundation, and Con Edison. Later on in the month, let's go to the 24th, Gina. This was the day we made a formal announcement about the architectural firm selected to design the incredible Cohen Career Collective. And indeed, we, after a lengthy procurement process and a very competitive, a lot of architectural firms wanted to bid on this project, we selected the Schweitzer Group. Lou Schweitzer is the gentleman with the green vest on the, I guess, the right side of the photo. And Lou and his team were chosen to design the Cohen Career Collective, and they've been doing that work ever since. We'll give you an update in the new year. Remember, this is a 160,000 square foot, state-of-the-art, I mean, nothing like this anywhere in New York City. Workforce training center for AAS programs and non-degree workforce training programs and other programs coming to our C building on the 5th and 6th floor. So here's the architectural team now working on the project with our own Kate Regev, who's the project manager who works closely with Senior Vice President Shahir Irfan, Ken Campanelli, who's here today, and their great colleagues in our building and grounds team. Let's go to February, Gina. Valentine's Day. Look at this. Valentine's Day, we're in a lab here with Vet Tech. Now, this is a fun announcement. $35,000 grant. I'm sure Dr. Tara Scale secured this. It doesn't say so in my notes, but she runs the program. From GS Humane Corporation to support our Vet Tech program. The grant supports more than 30 Vet Tech students, providing financial assistance for textbooks, pre-exposure rabies vaccinations. This is not a vaccination most of our LaGuardia students are required to get, nor is it one that the Trump administration is looking to make mandatory or voluntary. It is mandatory. So our vet, and there's another important thing the grant provides for, which is there's an examination fee, hefty fee, for our Vet Tech students, and the grant covers that fee for more than 30 students. So very important for our Vet Tech students. 4 days later, February 18th, in Casa de las Americas, we collaborated with the Climate Museum. I hope most of you, if not everybody, saw this exhibit. We presented a pop-up version of a Climate Museum exhibit called The End of Fossil Fuel. It was really good. This is, the picture doesn't show, this is the M lobby, not far from here where that exhibit took place. Go to the next one, Gina. This is in March now. So on March 5th, beginning of the month, after more than a year of forums, feedback, and MBJ coffee and pastries, we launched our new 2025 to 2029 5-year strategic plan. So this was the date it became official after many, many months of work going back to the spring of 2024. In fact, we launched the planning process at the opening sessions for the spring semester in 2024, right here on this stage. If you want to track how we're doing on the plan, and lots of you are working on different pillars and different strategies in the plan, this can be tracked in real time on our website. There's a special portion of the LaGuardia website for the strategic plan with data there provided by our team from Office of Research and Effectiveness. On the 12th of, about a week later, on the 12th of March, we launched a new program for adult learners called GED Express. It's a free online and evening program that helps students who have not passed one or two of the subjects in the New York State GED exam. So they need to pass one or pass both. It's a very practical program funded by New York State Ed, the Education Department, as well as New York City. And it's offered as part of our LaGuardia Basic Skills Division, or department in the ACE Division, which serves more than 1,000 students each year in preparing for the GED exam. We are one of the largest providers of GED prep in Spanish and in English in the city. Thank you, John Hunt, and your tremendous team in adult basic skills. A day later, 24 hours later, we had an amazing event. The LaGuardia and Wagner Archives presented the Fiorello LaGuardia Book Prize. This is a new prize that the Archives has been giving out. And this year it went to Columbia University historian Kim Phillips Fine. Professor Phillips Fine received the prize for her book, Fear City, New York City's Fiscal Crisis and the Rise of Austerity Politics, a subhead a little hard to read on the slide here, but a very interesting, timely, and important book. And the LaGuardia Book Prize, in case you didn't know, now in its second year, recognizes an exceptional work of scholarship that utilizes the collections, any one of our 16 collections or more than one, at the LaGuardia and Wagner Archives. Professor Phillips Fine came to campus, did a big event, like a forum with students and faculty, in April, about a month later, and gave a talk in a sort of panel moderated by Dr. Stephen Petrus of the archives staff. Great event, great book, great prize. On the 21st of March, one of our many celebrations for Women's History Month, this was our Herstory in the Making event. That event, Herstory in the Making, is spearheaded by our 2025 Women's History Month Committee, a cross-divisional, cross-college committee of faculty, staff, and students. Her Story in the Making honors the advocacy, education, and legal efforts of advancing women's rights and gender equality nationwide. A variety of events were held here on campus throughout the month of March. And our annual Celebrating Women in Queens event was also held in March. That's that picture. This was co-hosted, I do this every year, with our local councilwoman, the incredible Julie Wan. And you'll see Julie identifies a lot of the recipients from across her council district worthy of this recognition, and we select important colleagues worthy of recognition here at LaGuardia. In this case, this year we recognize Carmen Griffin, Operations Manager for LPAC. She's probably working here today. Congratulations, Carmen. Thank you very much. Carmen is always deserving of a very enthusiastic round of applause, and she's here all the time, or over at the Main Stage Theater. And we also recognize Professor Nicole McGuire, who's in our Business and Administration, which is actually the Director of Business and Administration. So congratulations also to Nicole. In April, yes, you know, we had wanted Shahir to turn the heat down, so in the little theater it would be really, really cold, and you would clap incessantly as a kind of way to keep warm and, you know, keep the energy up here. So, for those of you, it doesn't have to be standing room only. We have some seats here in the front row. I promise not to pick on individuals in the audience too much. Not too much. Anyway, I think all of you know, and I see Professor John Tolan here. If you don't know, he will remind you that in April, the United Nations designated 2025 as the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology. You all know that, right? Thank you, John. Thank you very much. And this is true. So we had to celebrate this UN-sanctioned milestone here at LaGuardia by hosting an interdisciplinary conference exploring the history, contemporary advancements, and future prospects, that part's really interesting, of quantum science. And so this is, yes, right up the alley of the chair of the Faculty Council and member of our cabinet, Professor John Tolan. Yes, yes. But do not hold your applause for his colleagues, Dr. Roman Senkoff and Daniel Kapich from Natural Sciences, and Dr. Frank Wang from MEC, and Dr. Elizabeth J. A.K., I call her Liz Clark from English, because all of those faculty members made this great and unique event happen back in April. Thanks to all of you. Well, just 4 days later, sorry, we earned a very special award or in recognition from the federal government. On April 8th, LaGuardia earned a Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense designation. And that's that, you see that kind of funny acronym down there at the bottom. Now, this is awarded to institutions that have met the rigorous requirements set forth by the NSA, the National Security Agency. And the NSA awards these prestigious designations to colleges that commit to producing cybersecurity professionals that will reduce vulnerabilities in our national infrastructure. This is very serious cybersecurity work, and that LaGuardia, as a community college, was designated by the NSA for the excellence of our cyber program, which is a new AAS degree that we have, is really remarkable. Big thanks to MEC Chair Dr. Abdel Balkaraz Idrisi and Professor of Computer Science, of course, Dr. Doyle Pal, who really leads this initiative. And we had a visit from a senior, the top advisor to U.S. Senator from New York, Kristen Gillibrand, this summer. And Dr. Powell invited the counsel to the senator to tour the lab and meet these students. So I was there, and to kind of get the conversation going, I asked some of the students that you see here in the picture, so how did you end up coming to LaGuardia to do cybersecurity? And this is really true, and it's interesting. Especially some of these young men, the gentleman in the white hoodie, were hanging out on their couches hacking into games. They got really good at gaming. They were really good at gaming and got bored and became game hackers. And they realized that they could do this hacking into games. Well, maybe they ought to go to college and get a degree and do it for a living. And that's exactly the kind of sort of thinking and ingenuity and motivation that gets you to be a really good cybersecurity student, because you're trying to prevent people from hacking into systems. Little aside, it was kind of fun. Let's go to April 9th. This was the day of our Black Empowerment Summit. This year's summit was titled The Black Code, the Influence of Politics, Wealth, Culture, and Education. And in case you're wondering about the timing, this month is April, right? We celebrated Black History Month in February, Black History Month, with several campus events. And then this Black Empowerment Summit was held for a variety of logistical reasons on April 9th. The event focused on a framework for empowerment, emphasizing the interconnected roles of politics, wealth, culture, and education in shaping Black experiences and progress. And as you can see in the photo, we welcomed as a special guest a good friend of LaGuardia who comes to this event basically every year, or has come, public advocate Jumani Williams, a friend of mine as well, and long-serving public advocate, again, who was here as part of the event. April 22nd, couple weeks later, very important continuation of a vital program here. As New York City rents reach historic heights, and affordable housing is just impossible to find in Queens and beyond, LaGuardia and Airbnb announced the continuation of our partnership to combat housing insecurity of LaGuardia students. Airbnb contributed an additional $100,000 in housing and Airbnb vouchers to help our students get semester-long Airbnb stays in modest Queens homes. These are students who are homeless, living in their cars, maybe in a shelter, need to get out of the shelter, and we get them into these apartments, and we guarantee with the funding they stay till the end of the semester, when we do try to find them a permanent affordable housing solution. In some cases, we even help students make it all the way to graduation, but we couldn't do it without this very important support from Airbnb. On May 7th, thank you, Philip, we marked the return of an important honor society to LaGuardia. This is the Delta Theta chapter of Delta Alpha Pi, which is a national honor society that recognizes high-achieving college students with disabilities. And so we had an induction ceremony where we welcomed 43 LaGuardia students into this very important national honor society. And we had CUNY Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Denise Maybank, was here, and other notables for a really lovely, large, and well-attended ceremony in the atrium. Great, by the way, that we brought this back. Thank you very much, Alexis and your team, Alexis McLean and Student Affairs, who made this happen, and now we're back on track to do it every year. On the 13th of May, we had the very good news that LaGuardia students Jessica Gallegos in music recording technology, Tabia Taranum, a biology major, and Miguel Posada Perez, who's a mechanical engineering major, were each selected from over 1,600 applicants nationwide to receive Jack Kent Cooke transfer scholarships. This is a really significant achievement for these students. We have between 2, 5, 6 a year. LaGuardia does well. Remember, these scholarships are to pay for the expenses of your baccalaureate degree at the school to which you transfer. And they provide up to $55,000 to each of these students for each of the years that they're in their 4-year school. So they're very hefty and helpful scholarships. On the 23rd, 10 days later of May, really fun event over at the main stage, the Nepalese Student Association welcomed Dr. Sandak Ruit as the keynote speaker for an event they organized for Spring 25 called Changing Lives Through Sight. This was incredible. Referred to as the God of Sight by NBC News, Dr. Ruit, who is the gentleman sort of right in the middle there with the brown suit next to me. Dr. Ruit is an ophthalmologist from Nepal who has helped restore the vision of over 180,000 people in Africa and Asia. For one person to do that is really quite incredible. And he developed a technique, it's called the small incision cataract surgery, to help people with cataracts in remote and rural areas that don't have access to good ophthalmological services. So it's a very affordable, let's say inexpensive, precise cataract surgery. And for parts of the world where cataracts are much more common, endemic, this has been life-changing, I'll say. What was also incredible was that our students brought him here. And when I met him in the kind of green room to say hi before he went on stage, I spoke to his people, his aides with him, and they said he had just come from Yale, and before that had been Harvard, and before Stanford. So his national tour, apparently, was Stanford, Harvard, Yale, LaGuardia. So I'm like, okay. Dr. Ruit is more than just a great ophthalmologist. He, knows academic talent and great institutions from afar. So it really was an honor. And by the way, I found out from another aide of his that our crowd, thanks to our students, was much larger than the crowd at Yale. Well, just saying. Now, consider this fun fact. Based on preliminary fall 2025 data, like now, right? Nepal is the top country after the US from which our students come, right? Our non-US born students, the #1 country is now Nepal. This is a change in LaGuardia demographics. Now, Dean Kevin Martins wants me to say like 5 times these are preliminary numbers. The CUNY Central Office hasn't approved the numbers. There are internal calculations, but I'm sure they're fairly accurate. And what it means is that our Nepalese student headcount is up more than 300% since 2022. I would call us the college of choice, right, for Nepali students. Indeed, it makes LaGuardia the home to the largest Nepali student body of any college in America. Wow, exactly. And then to organize events like this, small wonder that Dr. Ruit attracted such a large crowd to LPAC's Main Stage Theater at that event in May. All right, a couple days later, we honored faculty and staff at our 2025 Appreciation of Service Award Ceremony. This is really fun when we do this every spring. We recognize staff and faculty who were marking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and even 45 years of service at LaGuardia Community College. We also recognize 9 faculty and staff members for 40 years of service. So that's, pause and think about that, it's incredible. And drum roll please, for 45 years of service, we saluted Rudy Mingru, a lecturer, we just call him Rudy, in our Department of Math, Engineering, and Computer Science. He's in that picture there with Abdel. Congratulations, Abdel, and to your great lecturer colleague, Rudy, who's been teaching math here for, I'll say it again, 45 years, lecturer in math. In June, we found many ways to celebrate Pride Month. We celebrated Pride Month with events here on campus, but also through activities across the city. and we held our own Pride celebration out on the LaGuardia Community Greenway. But also students, faculty, and staff participated in the Queens, Brooklyn, and New York City Pride parades, as well as CUNY Pride Fest. So a lot of fun and very important celebrations for Pride in June. On June 5th, a more specific date as opposed to the whole month, this was the day that we launched our new fundraising campaign, which we called Tomorrow 2.0. Remember in the pandemic, we did a $15 million campaign at the foundation. We called it the Tomorrow Campaign. Well, we didn't come up with any interesting names, so we just said, let's do it again. Tomorrow 2.0. Well, we don't need a name, we need money. So we announced this at the spring meeting of the foundation board of directors, or rather Jay and I sprung it, spring meeting. We sprung it on the board of directors. And they, well, I won't say gleefully, but they accepted the proposition and the challenge. And it's based on, and this is just fantastic, the campaign is inspired by a $10 million anonymous pledge. I said pledge, we don't have the money yet. From a donor that has said if we raise $15 million by June 30th, 2026, Jean, her husband, will give us the 10, making $25 million by next June 30th, which would be incredible. By the way, this is for scholarships, stipends for internships, and LaGuardia Cares emergency student support. This morning I checked in with Jay Golan, who runs the foundation and is in charge of the campaign, and he reported that it is still basically early December, right? That we've already raised $7.8 million towards the $15 million challenge. So that's like saying we're a little over halfway there after kind of the first 5.5 months. So we got some fundraising to do. Where's Jay? We got some work to do. But we're confident we're going to get there, and that would, again, kind of trigger the $10 million gift that's the force or the inspiration behind the campaign. On the 13th of June, some 8 days later, more good news about LaGuardia student achievement. 5 LaGuardia students received full-time job offers from Wells Fargo. Now this is like, when you set programs up like this, you kind of hope this is going to happen for maybe 1 student. When it happens to 5, it's just fantastic. So this is, yeah, I'll tell you more about it. That applause is a hint to me to tell you a little more about what's going on here. I'll tell you anyway. You're looking at a picture of Jerasemina or Mina Krani, Jinyu Lu, Kathleen Morabaya, and Jamil Nicole Peleas, and Christian Villarroel, Christian is in the bottom there, who worked 20 hours a week over at Wells Fargo doing software development or working in their software development teams starting in September all through May. So really a full academic, think about that for a second, because they may have other jobs. I mean, they get paid at Wells Fargo, but many of our students have more than one job and families to care for. So they're doing 20 hours a week the whole academic year. But they're working with the professional as a Wells Fargo doing software development. All 5 of the students graduated in June with their AAS degrees in programming and software development. They all got job offers from Wells Fargo, though remember we always encourage them to continue with their bachelor's degrees, BS in science, computer science, things like that, and Wells Fargo will help them do that. And building on that program's success, Wells Fargo then turned around and gave us $25,000 to support a summer boot camp here at LaGuardia back in 2025. 7 days later, we celebrated this is, you know what this is. Hello, this was awesome. Yeah! So on June 20th, now Shahir did not want to do this, but he sprung for the tent. You see the tent in the picture? There was a bit of a tug of war. Evelyn Lomark and Nayeli and a bunch of people on the committee saying we got to have a tent because last year in 2024 it was really, really hot. And we do this outdoors on the beautiful quad of Queens College. And so this year, Shahir, we twisted his arm and college finances are a little better, not much, but a little better. So he sprang for the tent. And in this tent you see almost all of our 2,031 graduates of the class of 2025. This was our 53rd commencement ceremony. Our speakers were Nancy Avila, some of you may remember Nancy, early childhood education, and the incredible Jonathan Machado, who was just man about campus. Sometimes our students, Alexis, yeah, they're just everywhere. Jonathan was already in one of the slides, picking up, and he was part of the Honor Society of Students with Disabilities. Think about that, right? Inducted into the Honor Society with a disability, and he was a graduation speaker. And he was a biotech major, I should have mentioned. All right, great, so this was great, terrific. And thank you all for coming out and supporting graduation, and be sure to be there this coming June. Nayeli, what's the date? 18th, mark your calendars, please. June 18th, 2026, back at Queens College. Yes, we'll get the tent again, just in case. Yes, we will, Shahir. We're going to do the tent. But we didn't have to give out water bottles like we did 2 years ago, so we saved money. On June 30th, after graduation, we still have a lot of students on campus, as you know, in the summer. But we had to put in place a policy that our LaGuardia students themselves brought to life. So this is the official date of the new student activity fee, a significantly increased student activity fee. And I pause just to tell you this is an interesting story, but I think it says something about how students feel about this special place. So the Student Government Association had been pushing Dean Harry Mars and VP McLean for a while to raise the student activity fee. I think they were incredulous, like, why would you want? So this is like student government raising taxes on their fellow students, you know? Who does that, right? But in truth, the LaGuardia student activity fee had not been raised in many years, and it was falling behind increases at fees at other CUNY campuses. So the Student Government Association at that time, we have a new Student Government Association now, proposed increasing the fee from the full-time student fee by $18, from $67 to $85, and the part-time student fee by $13, in other words, from $26 to $33. So those are big increases in the student. And then the Student Government Association lobbied their fellow students, because this is a referendum, there's got to be a serious vote, and there has to be, Dean Mars knows, I forget the statistics, but it's not a simple majority, it's got to be a significant vote of students agreeing to tax themselves. And it passed. And so now there is more money coming out of the student activities fee, which is important because, among other things, and primarily, this supports our student clubs. So they access this through the college, through Shahir's office, to subsidize many of the club activities, like the events I showed you earlier of the Nepali Student Association. And what's really quite exciting, reported recently by Alexis, is that we now have 40 active student clubs. We had 30 last year, or 33, and there are always a few new clubs that students are trying to tee up and prepare. They have to meet certain criteria to be made official. But this funding is going to help support this growth in clubs, the growth in participation in clubs, and the many activities the clubs now want to undertake. And finally, for the first time, the LaGuardia student activity fee is going to support the Office of Accessibility, and therefore activities and programs for students with disabilities. That will come out of the student activities fee, and the students wanted that, and we were happy to oblige. So shout out to our hardworking colleagues in the Division of Student Affairs who helped the students increase their taxes on themselves for the benefit of fellow students and all this great activity. On 6/30, we also have to pause on this day because it's the end of the 2025 fiscal year, right? As all city agencies, we start our books, we open our books on July 1st, and we end on June 30th. So there was an interesting fact, I'm very pleased to report, that was made official on June 30th, 2025. And that is that Laura Bartovics and her team in the Office of Grants and Sponsored Programs announced that they had LaGuardia had hit a fundraising record. They achieved their highest one-year grants and contracts award total ever in the history of the college, $28,375,247. Remember the 47. I don't know why. We ought to have a slide, Gina, with the number. We ought to have a slide with the number, but honestly, this number just came to us recently because it's made official by the CUNY Research Foundation. All of that $28 million is generated by faculty in their proposals for research projects, for example, by staff in all the many things we do. Many of this goes to ACE for the programs there that are contracts or grants funded by government. But it all runs through our Office of Grants and Sponsored Programs and through CUNY RF, CUNY the Research Foundation. So the tally is actually, we do it internally, but when RF gives us a report, we know the number which I just shared with you is the official number. And what I can also share is that if you don't count the central office, and why would we, then LaGuardia is ranked 5 out of 26 CUNY institutions in our fundraising. 5 out of 26 at $28 million. It's remarkable. We put John Jay in the dust. We're inching up on Hunter. Queens College, I don't know what happened to them. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, faculty. Thank you, everybody, for making us all so proud. Yeah. It's a lot of great work. And while, this is a little digression, but we did lose several NSF grants, as many institutions did, unfortunately, because of Trump administration policies. But we also got new federal grants. So we're still working with all the agencies that we can in Washington. I'll be in Washington next Monday and Tuesday. And we're still working with parts of the federal government where we can get support. And we'll just keep bringing all the grants and programs to LaGuardia that we can. Let's go to July, Gina. The summer. So July 1st was the official launch day for a new initiative that's very important to the Chancellor called CUNY Beyond. Some of you have heard about this. I wanted to come back to it for a minute. This is very much a cornerstone of Chancellor Felix Matos Rodriguez's his own strategic agenda, which is called CUNY Lifting New York. It's a 6-year plan that runs through 2030. And the point of it, it's a very important initiative for him to increase career success for all CUNY graduates. So he announced it recently at his State of the CUNY address, but programmatically the official start was July 1st, which is when we got our notification that we would be in the lead across the CUNY system in this initiative, along with Lehman College. So we were selected along with Lehman, Hunter, and BMCC as the first 4 colleges to receive funding and to initiate CUNY Beyond. But in truth, it's just us and Lehman. I'm not sure Lehman knows what they're doing, but no. We know what we're doing, but BMCC and Hunter come later, so they'll be fine. They'll learn from our mistakes, and we will make several, not many, but a few. And so we're really in the lead on this. So actually, it's an honor for LaGuardia. It's also an extra amount of work for Billy Gasto-Gozzato and Sue Neal and Ben and others who have to do all the kind of logistics to set it up. Briefly, and more on this in a minute or in the next few weeks from Billy, eventually all 19 undergraduate CUNY campuses are going to implement CUNY Beyond. Starting as we did in July 25, it's going to go right through May of 2030. I'll catch up with you, Gina, in a second. And the goal is to connect 180,000 CUNY graduates to careers in their fields of interest and jobs that pay a living wage by 230. 180,000 CUNY graduates in their fields in the things that they studied, that they got their CUNY degree in, and in jobs that pay a living wage, right? CUNY cannot be a publicly funded higher education system that graduates students into poverty jobs. I'm sorry, no. So I'm with the Chancellor 110% on this, and we're all going to work really hard to have these same outcomes, living wage jobs, in the disciplines and the areas that our students study in for our LaGuardia students. Well, a week later, last thing I want to say about this. There have been a lot of questions about CUNY Beyond because it's just getting going, and we did receive about $4 million in funding from the Chancellor as a lead institution. It's over the next several years. Billy, our provost, Dr. Billy Gasto-Gozzato, is preparing kind of an overview that, FAQ, here's what's going on, sending out to all faculty and staff so you know what this is. Because it kind of happened quickly over the summer, and we want to make sure everybody's on board. It's very exciting, and trust me, it's a really important opportunity for our college. Anyway, as we jump ahead into July, on the 8th and 9th, we hosted an event, which is the CUNY Research Scholars Program Symposium. CRSP is the CUNY Research Scholars Program. This is the 3rd year in a row that the Office of Research at CUNY Central has turned to LaGuardia to host this. And that's an honor, too, right? It really speaks to our success in all of the many disciplines where students do research that contribute to CRSP. We had over 170 associate degree seeking students from across CUNY, from all the community colleges, present their research projects on posters here in the atrium on these 2 days. And so you can see a couple samples of here. But a great honor for us to be able to do this, as I say, 3rd year in a row. I certainly hope that they decide to come to us again in 2026 so we can host people from across the system and showcase their work and the work of our own students. In August, it was hot. I remember, I'm catching up now, I remember August. On the 13th, we had a special event when Governor Kathy Hochul came to campus and organized kind of a rally with students, faculty, and staff in the atrium. Notice all the bunting and when the governor comes to your campus, you get a lot of fancy stuff, and then they take it away. Flagpoles, bunting, stages, podiums. The governor in her sneakers. It was a great event. And she came to organize kind of a rally or a celebration for the new program she put into effect in the last legislative session, which is called NYSTOP, the New York State Opportunity Program. It's really a version of CUNY Reconnect and SUNY Reconnect that she's funding, the very successful program initiated by our outgoing now and friend and City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams. The City Council funded CUNY Reconnect. It was really working to get students who had stopped out and left CUNY to come back by taking care of unpaid loans and things like that and helping get back on track. So the governor wanted to double down on that. So it's so good, by the way, when elected officials like the governor do that. They see something that's working and they say, good, let's just do more of it, instead of inventing something entirely new, So that she did that was great, and that she came to LaGuardia to announce it. I mean, she has spoken at our graduation. I saw her at an event last week. We do all we can to make sure she's a big fan of this institution, and I think that she is. But in any event, this was a very big and important announcement. And at it, we realized that we have 21 majors at LaGuardia that qualify for NYSOP funding, meaning students in those majors that are 25 years or older, because this is for adult learners, and have a balance, a tuition balance, because they're financial aid. They don't have any financial aid anymore. Maybe they lost, used it up years ago. Or there's a gap between their aid, because they often are working and have income, so they don't qualify for a full Pell Award, for example. So the governor's program pays whatever the balance is, the unpaid part of the tuition, so that these adult learners really do go to community college for free. It really is free community college right here. So we have 21 qualifying programs, and so far almost 700 students enrolled in the program. Ben got me the number a little while ago. It's 693. And Ben is like looking at me funny. 693, okay. But these are 693 adult learners, people who had left college and may have thought, oh, college isn't for me, I'll never go back. No, they've come back. It's not a number, those are people, those are real people who are here now taking in your classrooms, in classes, and going entirely for free thanks to the governor's program. Now, by making a change in our coding, we're going to be, our program coding, we're going to go from 21 to 22 qualifying programs and almost double the number of students that are at LaGuardia that will be able to access this money in the spring semester. So, on our path to do that. Thank you, Governor Hochul. Well, the next day, this was a fun, a kind of a closeout celebration event for a very fun program I wanted to mention. On the 14th of August, children enrolled in Horizons NYC at LaGuardia presented their end of summer showcase. The jungle-themed celebration, lots of face painting going on, included dancing and singing by rising kindergartners and first graders. So these are kind of 5- and 6-year-olds. Almost all of them are the children of LaGuardia student parents, right? So in the summer, our students can put their children in this program, and which is a summer enrichment program. And it began actually on June 30th, toward the end of June, and it ran all the way through mid-August. You can imagine how helpful that is to parents during the summer weeks. So we became the first institution in CUNY to be a Horizons site. In fact, the first college in New York City to be a Horizons site. Horizons is a national program, comes out of Connecticut. And we were approached by them to see if we would do this. Interestingly, you have to have a pool because you see them having fun here, but they also all learn to swim because the program combines summer enrichment, right? So their academics, their reading, and whatever skills they're working on stay fresh, but also they have to go learn to swim and eat a lot of pizza. I kind of want to do this program. On the 14th, same day, isn't it the same day? We recruited the chancellor and gave him a roller and asked him to help us paint 29th Street. And he obliged. This is fantastic. CUNY Chancellor Felix Matos Rodriguez rolled up his sleeves to help us paint the LaGuardia Community Greenway mural. Like those little booties we got, the little black, see the little blue booties? Dr. Vera Albrecht, at the time our Chair of Humanities, and Kalsung Yangso, who didn't make the picture, who is the representative of our councilwoman, Julie Wan, also pitched in. And throughout the summer, as I think most of you know by now, students, faculty, and many young people in our summer youth employment program worked on this mural. And the mural on 29th Street, right, which is the LaGuardia Community Greenway, is a mere 17,390 square feet, making it the largest street mural in New York City. This is a lot, a year, 2025, a lot of firsts here at LaGuardia, right? And we're so proud of this work. You will remember, because I think I might have mentioned it, that a mural like this is not easy to do. And so all of that painting, including the work here by the Chancellor and us, was done under the supervision of our fine arts professors Dalia El Sayed and Ariane Fernandez, who are amazing. And you can't tell in the picture, but in August it was really hot, and they were out there almost every day supervising students and painting this mural. Manny Romero had a big hand in this project as well. Thank you, Manny. September 9th, let's flip over and start the semester there, Gina. So on September 9th was our first day of classes, and we realized there were a lot of people all over the place. There's students coming in the door, students in the atrium, students sitting in class, elevator breaking, students all over the place. And we said, what's going on? And we turned to Ben and his team, and they said, well, enrollment is up 12%. 12%? Yes, we had the largest enrollment growth in all of CUNY in the fall semester. And that's good. Something's going on. And so shout out to everybody on your team, Ben, for all that hard work, and to all of the folks in student affairs as well for new student orientation, and all the things we do at the start of the semester, right around that first week in September, to make sure several thousand new students at LaGuardia feel welcome, feel this is their home. They made the right choice. We're going to take care of them. We're going to love them. What happened next? A day later, you bring in new students, you need new faculty. And so we were very happy to welcome, there you go, very happy to welcome Estefania Hernandez, who's actually a LaGuardia alumna, and is now a journalism lecturer in our English department. We also welcomed, or actually enjoyed or celebrated the promotion of Michelle Lugones, who's a doctor of veterinary medicine, who joined us in 2023 as a director of the Vet Tech program, which we saw very early on in the year with that $35,000 grant to help students with some of the Vet Tech expenses. She was also a substitute assistant professor, but she started the year now promoted to the rank of assistant professor in our health sciences department. So very good news for Michelle. And finally, Christine Blewett, MPH and RD, is a new lecturer, or was a new lecturer as of the fall semester, in our nutrition and culinary management program, which is part of community health and wellness. And so welcome to all three of them. Belated welcome, but important to celebrate that. On the same day, on the 10th of September, we've got awarded a very interesting grant. And I mentioned interesting and not always so well-known kind of federal funding sources that we work with. We were awarded a grant of $280,000 from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs from a program they have called the Veterans Legacy Grant Program. The project is called Voices from the Past, the Veterans of Cypress Hills National Cemetery. Super interesting. The project will bring to light the stories of veterans interred at Cypress Hills National Cemetery, which, important Queens history factoid, is the second oldest national cemetery in the nation. Voices from the Past will be led by Dr. John F. Sheen, Professor of History and Social Sciences, and Daryl Griffin, who I saw in the hallway, so I know he's here today, our amazing leader of all our services for veterans here at the college. So the two of them are working together, which is a terrific collaboration. The team also includes LaGuardia and Wagner Archives Research Associate, Dr. Gretchen Aguillard, and historian and educator, Dr. Albert A. Nofi. So there's a whole team here doing some very interesting work of national consequence and about some very important history here in Queens. Thank you. The next day, September was a busy month. You might gather that. It's the start of the fall semester. Our nursing program was named among the best in New York for 2026. It's a 2025 award going to 2026, in registerednursing.org's 10th annual rankings. The nursing program, our nursing program ranked number 3 under the top performing nursing schools with exceptional NCLEX prep and student success rates. Now, LaGuardia maintains a 98.8% pass rate on the NCLEX, that's the National Nursing Licensing Exam. And this is important, we were the top community college in the ranking, so we might be number 3 of all the nursing programs in New York, but we're number 1 in the community college nursing program. And I know Faith Armstrong is here, because I saw Faith somewhere and her team. I'm glad you all are here. Now I can see you. It's a little hard to see from up here, but we have half of the nursing program is right here with us. But that's just phenomenal. Congratulations to all of you, to your students, and to your colleagues. But by extension, there's something else important to mention in the same rankings. We had the National Physical Therapy Exam pass rate. That's calculated for all of our students who are PTA, physical therapy assistant majors. And for the last several years, that pass rate, again for our PTA students, has been 100%, which surpasses all the other PTA programs in the state of New York. Let's hear for our PTA program. 6 days later, back to La Casa de las Americas, because now we're moving into the celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs these days half of kind of mid-September through mid-October. And so La Casa had an open house and kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month with live norteño music. You can almost hear that accordion and the guitar, and imagine the festivities and dancing that took place. The month-long celebration continued with additional events, including modern languages workshops and our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration at the end, or mid-October. I think we have a picture that took place on the Greenway. Also, let's go to October, Gina. 6th of October. Let's go back to the mural. This is when we actually, you saw the chancellor, okay, he wasn't really painting the mural. That was posed. I don't know if you could tell with the roller. Students and Dahlia and Ariane, they really did the painting. You wouldn't want me mad. So, but the mural was completed and we unveiled it. This was a lot of fun. After 3 years, Nayeli knows because she led this whole project, and 3 years of college and community events, activities, outreach, and promotion, New York City Department of Transportation and LaGuardia transformed 29th Street from Skillman Avenue to 47th Avenue into Western Queens' newest pedestrian plaza. You've walked over there when DOT put the planters up, blocking traffic permanently, and basically, you can't give the keys to a street, but it's like they gave us the keys to the street. We knew it was ours. And it's really the communities. If people are interested, that is a public street, but LaGuardia oversees the programming and maintains it. But any community organization in Queens can come do an event there if they want to work with us on that. We don't own it entirely. And that's, I think, an important function as a community college, right, to do something that serves the community while it also helps our students. In any case, the plaza is a block, it has this block-long mural. And as a reminder, the mural was designed by a LaGuardia student named Fernanda Contreras. She was a fine arts major, class of 25. I shook her hand, so did Billy, June 20th, back at the quad at Queens College. And she has moved on, but she came back for the ribbon cutting with her parents, which is very nice to meet them. And her design was the result of a competition that Manny Romero and the communications team orchestrated last spring. In fact, to Fernanda's credit, and as a fine arts student who also took statistics, she submitted several designs and increased the chances of her winning, and she did. Her winning design features colorful walking signals, sort of walk, don't walk, and the actual colors that are supposed to symbolize New York's walkability and the 5 subway lines that run through Long Island City. So when you look at this from above, 7, G, E, F, R, N, and W over at Queens Plaza, and I would say we now need to substitute the F for the M, if people have paid attention to that. I certainly noticed that this week. But she took the colors of those subway lines for the colors of the mural. Great. So, well, yeah. And we had 2 ribbon cuttings in October, at least 2. Let's go to the other one. Second ribbon cutting in October, so just a week later. This was a lot of fun. A ribbon cutting to mark the reopening of the LaGuardia and Wagner archives in its new home, new and expanded location on the 7th floor of the C building. Some of you maybe remember New York Designs. New York Designs during the pandemic sort of lost its design, and we closed that down, and I was sort of decision chair, and I wanted to really rededicate that space to student uses for students and academic programs and the archives. And so the archives are in space that was beautifully renovated by our building and grounds team over the summer. It's on the 7th floor, as I say, the C building. Please take a visit. The space features a gallery, library, climate-controlled vaults, and new classrooms designed to support students' hands-on learning with the historical artifacts of the collections. The archives have 16 collections, and we want students to access those physical things in the collections and take them out and feel them and work on them, research, and do all of that in classrooms that are right there adjacent to the collections in this new space. You will see in the middle of the picture, helping me hold the scissors, our own Dr. Richard Lieberman, the archives founder, who came to the event along with Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, Councilmember Julie Wan, and our local assembly member, Claire Valdez. So big, and there's that exhibit up there over Stephen Petrus's head. There's a whole exhibit along that wall now that's really worth seeing that has a lot about Mayor Fiero LaGuardia. We also took a lot of our art. We have various LaGuardia statues. They're now all in the same place, and they're now on display along with much other great New York City history. Little interesting fact, which I hope will serve as a lure to get him here, but our mayor-elect, Zohran Mamdani's favorite mayor is none other than the guy this college is named for. So, we got a connection there. Let's go to the next one. I think it's the 19th, Gina. Exactly. The 19th was a Sunday. Beautiful day. We had great weather. We didn't have great weather in 2024. And it was the day that over 200 runners, walkers, fans, and some lost tourists came out for our they were really confused, where am I going? 4th annual community run on October 19th. Big promotion here by the committee that organizes the run, largely Nayeli, Manny, of course, runner himself, tried to win, but we had a guy come from Greenpoint, beat him, sorry Manny. We had a lot of fun. It's a great event. Every year it gets bigger. I will point out that every year Professor Nicole Fernandez and her daughter run faster. Her daughter is catching up with mom, I will say, even though her daughter Nicole's daughter runs with her Girl Scout regalia and the whole sash and everything, and she still runs as fast as many of the runners there. So we congratulate her, but it's a lot of fun. I hope you all come out next fall. 22nd of October, LaGuardia, and let's go back to LPAC for a second. LaGuardia and the LaGuardia Performing Arts Center were asked to host the second and final New York City mayoral debate. We did this on the main stage over here at LPAC, as some of you know. And frankly, it was an honor for us to host the event and a whole lot of fun. The class of candidates starred independent candidate Andrew Cuomo, Democrat Zohran Mamdani, and Republican Curtis Sliwa, all of whom brought very large entourages, of their friends and supporters who made a lot of noise, giving this thing a level of energy on a warm October night that was really quite exhilarating. And LaGuardia, I will say, thanks to Shahir, the team, and the LPAC team, presented or set up the logistics extremely well. And we got very good feedback, not simply from the candidates' campaigns, but importantly from Spectrum News New York 1, who organized the event. And that it worked well for them, the live TV broadcast, the logistics was really important. On the 23rd, just a day later, we had a large event in the atrium. This was National Transfer Week now, and so this is the Fall Transfer Fair hosted by the Transfer Engagement Initiative. We had representatives from more than 40 SUNY, CUNY, and private colleges and universities who filled the atrium with their brochures, swag, and kind of registration sign-up forms, in search of transfer students from LaGuardia. Nearly 800 LaGuardia students attended the fair. This is important. That's a lot of students going to the transfer fair. In fact, it was a 21% increase in attendance over last year. So this is really important, and it isn't just a function of rising enrollment, i.e. we have more students. It's students having greater awareness they need to think early and often about their transfer plans. As I often say, the LaGuardia promise to our degree-seeking students is a baccalaureate degree in your field of interest and a living wage job, right? We're a bridge to a baccalaureate degree for almost all of our students. So that we had this big turnout for the transfer fair is a very good sign, And congratulations to all the faculty and advisors and others who helped make that happen. Let's go to November. On November, we had a really wonderful award, and I know Arthur Lau is here, and he's very proud for good reason of the achievement of his colleagues. The National Association of Community College Teacher Education Programs announced that it had selected LaGuardia for a 2026 Exemplary Program Award. So this award honors outstanding community college teacher education programs that demonstrate innovation, impact, and excellence in preparing our country's future educators. This is super important. And this recognition is a national recognition of great consequence. At the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education's upcoming conference in February 26, co-directors of our program, Michelle DeGose-Malone and Caterina Almendral, will be recognized for their leadership of our programs, childhood education, secondary education, and bilingual child education. Round of applause, please, for Michelle. This is huge. This is awesome. Congratulations. Same day, I think. Yeah, same day. Gina had a lot going on the 18th. The mighty Healthcare Workers Union, 1199 SEIU, with whom we have a number of collaborations, awarded the ACE Division a contract valued at $1.1 million to expand a program we've had for a while, which is popular and very successful. It's our Pharmacy Tech program, and that's run by Chandana Mahadaswaraswamy. I don't know if Chandana is here, but she's done this program for many years. The funding opens the door for more New Yorkers to prepare to become pharm techs. When you go to CVS or where Walgreens or wherever, next time you get your prescription filled, you look on that wall and you see where all the certificates are supposed to be. They've passed the licensing exam to be a pharmacy technician in New York State. Ask them where they got their preparation. LaGuardia, we crank out. We have a lot of students here who come to our ACE division to do pharm tech. It's a hard program. It's a rigorous and long program. But when they pass the certification exam, they are right away going into the pharmacy system like I just mentioned. But with this program, with SEIU 1199, they will be placed by the union in SEIU 1199 provider facilities and hospitals all around the city, in hospital pharmacies, right? So they're filling prescriptions and doing that work. And again, this is a very big $1.1 million contract from the union to partner with Chandana and her team and get this done, so fantastic. A day later, the 19th, we go from pharmacy to pharm tech to theater. And this was the day that the theater program premiered Brynette Turner's At the Wedding, right here on this stage of the Little Theater. Shout out to our LaGuardia thespians who were directed in this terrific fall production by theater professor J.R. Caldwell. And I hope you all saw the show. It was really fun and very well done. And a lot of work. This show is long and has a lot of text, and these students are busy, and they really, really prepared very, very well. By the way, this production of At the Wedding has been selected for the Kennedy Center American Theater Festival Region 1 competition. Yes. Now, I'm trying to be careful with my words here, so I said selected. That means the production was selected to go to the competition, which is in Albany, after the holidays. And JR and Stephanie and others will be up there with our cast. And we wish them well, break a leg, good luck. If they make it through regionals, they earn that ticket to go to the nationals down in DC at the Kennedy Center. So we've got our fingers crossed for them. And a great show. By the way, as you leave this afternoon, among other things, there's a casting call, if any of you want to do any acting, for the spring production coming up. The students are manning the table. I just talked to them on my way here. So they're already getting ready for the spring production. All right, a day later, November 20th, just right ahead of Thanksgiving, LaGuardia Cares and Red Hawk Athletics, that's all of our athletes, teamed up to distribute turkeys and other Thanksgiving staples to LaGuardia students suffering from food insecurity, students in need. It's worth noting, by the way, that since March, our college farm, Finca La Florecita, behind the C Building, between the C Building and 47th Avenue, has produced more than 3,000 pounds of fresh food, including 500 pounds of lettuce, kale, spinach, and carrots. For all the rabbits in the audience, this is LaGuardia Cares. No, it's phenomenal, right? That's 3,000 pounds of food grown by LaGuardia students in our Sustainable Urban Agricultural Program. Right, exactly. Right here in our own farm. And they deliver 95% of that food to LaGuardia Cares, so it is grown for and given to our students suffering from food insecurity. There's no more virtuous cycle, right? Of students helping students. Yeah, let's clap for that. That's cool. Oh, but you know what? Hold your applause. I wanted to recognize Dr. Rhonda Mooten and her team at LaGuardia Cares. This time of year, they're really, really busy, right? They do the Thanksgiving work, the food pantry, the work with the farm. They just did a clothing drive. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this time of year, if you have anything you can donate to the food pantry or to the Dress for Success clothing closet, please go visit the team at LaGuardia Cares. We're going to make it into December in a second, then we'll wrap up. Many of you participated on November 21st in our new front door forum. This is a more recent memory now, just a couple weeks ago. New Front Door, this new initiative, sort of a repackaging of things we've done in the past and kind of launching it with new ideas, is based on the premise that for LaGuardia students to succeed, there is nothing like a strong start. LaGuardia students need to have a really successful, positive first semester. And we know that students who successfully complete certain milestones like new student orientation, meetings with their advisors, taking their first year seminar in their first semester, certainly in their first year, the students who complete those milestones persist and graduate at higher rates than students who don't. And by the way, sometimes the students don't, it's because we don't make them so accessible, those milestones. For example, students who are evening students, it's hard for them to get to a daytime NSO. It might be hard to meet an advisor in person. I mean, there are things we need to do to make sure these milestones are available, accessible to all of our students, including our part-time students and evening and Saturday students. In any case, we also know that early obstacles often lead to early stop-outs, many of them preventable. Things that go wrong, the red flags, if we don't address them quickly in the first semester, we lose the student. A student's trajectory is largely set, and this is just true in studies of community colleges across the country, their college path is set by what happens in their first semester, by that first semester experience. So a strong start makes all the difference, and that was the point of this New Front Door Forum. Our initiative builds off prior work, really excellent work, led largely by Ellen Quish, in first year experience, by strengthening our existing first year experience milestones, adding new ones, and ensuring that a greater percentage of our students complete them in a timely manner. It doesn't make much sense to take first year seminar, in your last semester before graduation. Next up, on the 25th of November, so right around Thanksgiving, Dean Kevin Martin and his colleagues in the Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness published preliminary. He always makes me say this, preliminary. This has not been approved by the CUNY Central Office. Warning. Preliminary findings on fall to spring data. And what I'm showing you here is remarkable. Let me explain. This is semester to semester retention, 1 year retention, right? You're looking fall to spring. So a fall cohort in fall 2019, for example, of the first time full-time freshmen in fall 19, the spring semester that followed, so spring 20, 80% stayed, right? So that's a very nice high retention rate. If you look at sort of this whole chart of retention, I pulled fall 19 out there for a reason. Fall 24, we're back to or at 81.6%. So something's going on at LaGuardia, my friends. This is preliminary. I mean, it's in the fall semester to the semester that we had last spring, right? Fall to spring. Almost 82%, 81.6, almost 82% of our students came back in the spring. And that is the highest retention rate we've had in 10 years. You have to go back to 2014 to see a rate like that, 80.2, and 80.1 fall 19 wasn't bad either. But we're doing better, especially if you look at more recent years like 2023. So I call this a collective achievement because when it comes to students staying at LaGuardia, everybody plays a part in that. From our public safety officers to our people who clean classrooms, to of course adjunct and full-time faculty, to advisors, and more advisors. Everybody, administrators, finance, everybody, especially any of you who ever see a student say, hi, thank you for choosing LaGuardia, how can I help you? You are helping retain that student. you're making that student feel that they have a home here. So this is great. And again, I mark it, especially this time of year, as this is not no one division, no one person. This is a collective community achievement of us that we own and we should be proud of. Indeed. All right, December. This was a lot of fun. This is Friday, so we're almost done. Last Friday was Bangladeshi night, organized by our incredible Bangladesh Student Association. And every year, usually on a Friday in December, our Bangladesh Student Association takes over the main stage theater for a night of music, dancing, fashion, and fun. And at the event, which draws a number of alumni on a Friday, that is me in my BSA official tunic, I learned that the BSA is LaGuardia's, is our oldest student organization. I learned that from an alumnus. I didn't realize that, and it's remarkable. It speaks to no, I actually learned it from LaGuardia Capuano, who's back there in the audience. LaGuardia was the person who told me that. And if she tells me that, I know it's true, because you've been here long enough, she would never make anything like that up. So when I got the microphone at the event on Friday, I quoted you, Loretta, and I told all the people there that their club was the oldest continuously operating club at LaGuardia, according to Loretta Capuano, whom I believe. And they believe me too. And we're just going to say that, because sometimes you just have to say it. So we're going to give them credit. But it was a wonderful event, as you can see, and a lot of fun. This is a great, great group. I do want to pause and recognize Sada Hijaman, who is a professor in business and technology. Sada is the faculty liaison to the BSA for many years to this club. And so there's not an event if I take part in an event, I'm very comforted to have Professor Jama by my side. And it's great to have all their support of the club. The next event, Gina, in December happened on, my pages are a little out of order here. It hasn't happened yet. That's why it's not on my. This hasn't happened yet. So my notes got. Where's this going? Oh, but this is fun. Okay, so this is brought to you. This is LPAC's. This is Andrew Ronan's little helper. Right? Andrew, our new director of LPAC, wanted me to bring up. What's the name here?
It's one of the toys that's been donated by John.
We will have so mark your calendars. Santa Claus is coming back to LPAC, as he does every year. Students from the Joffrey Ballet School's Children's and Youth Ballet Program will perform their 1-hour, very family-friendly adaptation of The Nutcracker. And this is an awesome event. And when it's run during the week, Queens school children are bussed in from elementary schools all around. Sometimes people aren't here to see it because the semester has ended, because this thing runs right up to the holidays. It's a fantastic event. And again, a great service LaGuardia's done for the Queens community and for children for many, many years. But this little guy comes into action after the curtain falls, because then this theater, some of you know this, is converted, yes, into Santa's Toyland. And there are long, long lines that snake down that part of the stage and come up here, and the children sit with Santa on the stage, and they get this and other toys. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but Santa, if any of you have children, please don't reveal this, or know people coming. Santa at LaGuardia is Bobby Lomark. Yes, Evelyn's husband. And Evelyn and Bobby have a lot to do with this event for many, many years. And normally you see Bobby in his uniform running around fixing things and working on the crew, doing all sorts of amazing work with our buildings and ground and facilities team. But he's a nice Santa. He's a really good Santa. He does a great job. It took me a while to figure out that was actually Bobby sitting on the stage with all the kids jumping on him, and he's giving out these toys. So that's coming up on December 14th. Tickets available on the LPAC website. A few days later, next week, we have a paramedic graduation. I want to mention this, and I'm really almost done. This is our paramedic graduation next week on December 18th is going to be our 33rd cohort of paramedic graduates. And this builds on LaGuardia's legacy as a leading provider of EMT and paramedic education and training for the New York City region. And I want to pause here. Sunil Gupta oversees all this with Hannah Weinsack, actually is here somewhere, to recognize that the woman who put all this together and made us sort of the go-to in the region for EMT and paramedic training was Christine Alvarez, and she retired on October 31st. And so Christine retired, just kind of quietly left, and I'm sorry, Christine, I'm breaking your secret here. After 37 years of service, 37 years at LaGuardia, founding and then running EMT, paramedic, and a host of other emergency medical services programs, including partnerships with the fire department when the fire department merged with New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation. And she just did an amazing job. And this program is amazing. And I asked her, she's quite modest, but I asked her before she left, so how many EMTs do you think you and your colleagues have trained at LaGuardia? And she thought about it for a minute. She said, about 7,000. That's incredible. So thank you, Christine Alvarez. One more event. This is, wait, that's this event now. What are we talking about now? Oh no, I'm sorry. It says, I can't read my own slide. We have a community partners event you're all invited to next Friday, correct? Yes, the 19th, a week from this Friday. We've started this now, and Manny and his team and External Affairs organize it. It's a really nice breakfast event for all of the community-based organizations in Queens, elected officials, and other friends of the college around Queens that help provide internships, that partner with us, that support us, our elected officials that advocate for our funding. We just do a really great breakfast, and it's made all the better. Anybody from MBJ here? It's made all the better because the food, the treats, are baked by students in our nutrition and culinary management program. Thank you, Nicole Fernandez. So students make the holiday cookies. MBJ makes the coffee, students make the cookies, and we bring out a great crowd of people, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we just wanted to share this with you. There's some information about it will be distributed because the more people that come just to hang out and say thank you, the bigger it is, the more everybody sees how much we're grateful to our many community partners. Well, now that really is it. I often say, I'm almost done, and now I really am. So we continue this celebration of 2025 with our reception and faculty council plant sale and auction in the E atrium. But before you go, I hope you'll be back here in the Little Theater at 7 o'clock tonight. Where is Tom Dempsey? I'm looking at Tom, what are we doing here at 7 o'clock tonight, my friend? I knew Tom would be here when I was hoping he'd be here. Tonight is the all-student musical showcase concert right here, Little Theater, 7 o'clock. Be here with me and Tom and everybody else. It's going to be awesome. All right, happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you out in the atrium for the reception.